Sigils in Granblue Fantasy Relink can be a very tricky subject just because every character plays differently. I intentionally waited to make this guide till I cleared all the content, maxed out my weapon, just so that way I can give you all the information you need to design your character to be as strong as possible. Let's dive straight into it though, starting with the sigils that I think are going to be good on every character. This one might be a little bit debatable, is going to be Stout Heart. And so you're probably wondering, what does that even do? This one I feel like has been a very slept on sigil, but that's because I believe the information on here is wrong. So all it says is that you can't be interrupted by foes' attacks. And I was thinking this, but I saw someone on Reddit confirm it, that they believe the hidden property for this sigil is going to be 30% damage reduction. So it's going to be 25% on the sigil plus 5% from your masteries. So I think this is going to be a very good sigil in terms of making you tankier. And then when you combine it with steel nerves, you're going to be able to get this up to about 45% damage reduction when you're battling. And the reason that the damage reduction is going to be important than just building HP is because in the future, once you get your Terminus weapon, it's going to have a trait on it that's not going to allow you to go over a certain amount of HP. So if I go over 45,000 HP, I'm not going to get these effects. And so the trick is going to be to get right under that and then start stacking things to make you tankier, which is where I think the damage reduction from Stout Heart comes into place, combined with the steel nerves. This may not be as relevant now, but I feel like once we get the Lucilius raid, that's when stacking defense is going to be very important because it's going to be dealing so much damage. And then when you get in the Proud, you're probably getting one tapped by a lot of things. And what I did before I knew this is I just put on a bunch of Aegises to give me HP. But I think being tankier might be the better option, and it also is going to let you attack through abilities. So characters like Gandangoza, Fairy, or who have like charged attacks that don't want to be interrupted, this is going to definitely help with. This will be one guide of many as I take you guys from beginner to expert in Granblue Fantasy Relink. So do me a huge favor and subscribe to the channel and help me get this video to 100 likes. I really would appreciate it. And in return, I'm going to give you more guides to help you out. But now that you've taken care of that, let's get back to the video. If you didn't know this already, each character has a unique character sigil, and you can have one effect or you can have both effects on one sigil. It just depends on how lucky you get with your RNG. But this is going to be the one for Gandangoza. And we see that this is going to do something specifically for my character to make them better. Now, it's going to be up to you to decide how good this ability is for your character. And you can get this from the knickknack shop. You come in here, I believe with treasure trade, you can get one of them. And then with your daily badges, you can get the other one. So if there's a specific one that you think is better than the other, you can go for that one for your character. But if you want to get two, unfortunately, you're going to have to depend on RNG and get them from one of these Transmarvel pools where you see it gives us both of them in one sigil. The next one is going to be War Element. And now what this does is it makes you the superior element to whatever you are attacking. And now why this is important is because so you're going to be limited by the damage cap, but if you're attacking something that has a weakness towards you, you're able to dish out more damage. And so since this is giving everything a weakness towards you, you're going to be dishing out way more damage than you are if you're just hitting just the damage cap. So I believe my punch did 1.7 million without this at the damage cap. And when I equipped this, got the superior element, now I believe I'm doing like 2.4 million. So it's a significant damage increase, which is why I think every character should be running it. Well, at least DPS character that is. But you can get this from the appraisal shop. You are going to have to farm a bit of curios and depend on RNG to get it, but you just come in here and appraise it, and then you have the chance of getting the War Element sigil, and you can get to here from the other town just by pressing L2 and coming to Sabaha's appraisal. So I just spoke about damage cap, and that's actually the next sigil. You need to be having maxed out max trait level on all DPS dealing characters, so that way you're not being limited. I'm not going to dive into how damage cap works because I did this in a separate video, but I will have that video linked at the end of this one for you to check out. So I really recommend you have your damage cap slots here to get it to 65. I know it's going to take up a lot of sigil slots, but it's going to be very important for you to do more damage. That's going to conclude all of the sigils I think are good on every character. Now we're going to get into kind of some character specific things that are going to focus on pushing you to the damage cap. And so I like stamina a lot, just because it's like we're always going to be maxed out on HP because we're not trying to die, and most things are one tapping us or getting us really low. So you're not going to be really sitting at 50% most of the time. You're probably going to be sitting close to 100 or close to nothing. And stamina is going to give us up to at this max level a 70% damage increase at 100% HP. So I think this is going to be a great sigil to attempt to push you to the damage cap. And then once you start getting the stamina 5 sigils plus, you're going to be able to combine those with other elements. So we can see right here, I'm trying to max out the crit rate on my fairy, but this is going to allow me to do that and still hit the damage cap all in one sigil. Now, another option is going to be the Tyranny Sigil. And as I mentioned with this weapon, you want to try and stay below 45,000 HP. And that's where this kind of the con that comes with this sigil, you don't mind it as much. And so with this, you're going to be able to get a attack percent buff, but you're going to have to sacrifice 20% HP. So this has been essential to my build because without it, you can see I'm going to be at 54k HP and I'm not going to be able to get the effects of my weapon. But with this weapon maxed out, I can hit the damage cap with just this Tyranny Sigil alone, which allows me to kind of diversify the rest of my build. But if you're looking for ways to hit the damage cap and you don't have stamina, I think the Tyranny Sigil is another good option, but you're probably gonna have to run a lot of Aegises to make up the HP, so that way you're not getting killed in the Proud Raids. So I would say for the most part, I'd probably stick with stamina to hit the damage cap, but then once you get your Terminus weapon, that's when I would maybe switch to Tyranny. I got really lucky and I was able to get Steel Nerves on this, so I'm able to hit the Steel Nerves Stout Heart combo with any character that I decide to run Tyranny on. Now I want to hit on some attack sigils I don't think are worth it. The first one is going to be just the basic attack sigil. This is only going to give you flat attack, where something like stamina is going to give you a percentage, which means that as you get stronger weapons, the percentage is going to scale with you. Whereas flat attack, you're only getting this attack no matter how strong you get. And it does scale very well. If you can max it out, it'll give you 2000 attack, but this likely won't be worth it because you're probably not going to be having the sigil slots to get it to 50 trait level to actually reap those benefits. And another rule of thumb that I've been using is pretty much anything that has a stipulation on it, I tried to stay away from unless it benefited my character. So with Enmity or Enmity, whatever it's called, it's going to boost your attack based on how low your HP is. As we mentioned earlier, generally you're low, and if you are low, you want to max out. So I think this was designed to be something that was character specific, but I just don't think it's good just because it requires you to be low. Crit damage, crit rate and crit damage are things that are like kind of globally on games that are going to be good for DPSing characters. I haven't really tested with it much on Relink, but it is something that I'm not going to say is bad. But Exploiter is one that I would say is character specific because this is going to require you to hit from behind and weak points, excuse me. And so I would say that unless it's something character specific, like I can see maybe Combo Booster being good on characters that build combos, but unless it's something character specific, I really depended on stamina and Tyranny for me to hit the damage cap. The next thing I want to hit on are what I've been calling quality of life sigils. Now these sigils, most of them, you don't need to max out, you just need to have them to get the effects and reap the benefits. And I've been trying to get them on my tier 5 plus sigils. So for instance, this one has Potion Hoarder, and it also gives me the Aegis effect, which is the one that I wanted. And so as you're getting some of your tier 5 plus sigils, I think that is either you're going to be looking to hit something like this, where it gives you Tyranny and Steel Nerves, which are two traits that I want, or at least the trait that you want combined with any quality of life trait. But I've talked about it, let's get into it. The first one is going to be Auto Revive. I think this is very helpful when you start getting to the Proud difficulty, and as it says, it's going to recover you when you die instantly one time, and this effect resets every X amount of seconds depending on how high you have it. And if you have it on a tier 5 plus, you're probably going to be able to get this to level 15 for each of these. The next one is going to be Potion Hoarder. Same thing, it's going to give you extra potions, and I like it because it also gives you that extra revival potion, which gives you more leeway for if you're dying, which is why I call a lot of these quality of life ones. They're not mandatory, but they do help. Improved dodge is another one. As you max this out, it's going to improve how many times you can dodge before you get into that slow effect where you can't dodge anymore. And I want to hit on all these because I see people when I talk about these in the comments mention the ones that I missed. But another one is going to be Guts. And so this is going to allow you to survive one lethal hit at 1 HP. And so you won't die, and it'll give you a chance to heal up. So I think this combined with Auto Revive is going to give you a lot of survivability, because when you get hit, you go to 1 HP, you max up. If you get hit again and die, you get the Auto Revive, and hopefully by then the Guts is off of cooldown. But then if it's not, you run a potion hoarder, you have so many ways to pass these bosses and not waste the critical gauge with these. And I guess another thing that you can consider quality of life would be the stout heart combo that I mentioned earlier, but I just think that since it makes you so tanky, it's a pretty nice ability and kind of fail safe to have in your inventory when you're going against harder bosses. Now, when it comes to defense sigils, the only ones that I see most people running is going to be Aegis, because it gives you just the flat HP buff, and if you're running Tyranny, you're already losing HP. So I see a lot of people running this to get that HP back. Another option is Steel Nerves, but like I said, in order to get the effect of Steel Nerves, you have to have that stout heart combo or a character that gives you stout heart. So I don't think this is worth running it unless you're running it in the combo. But that's really going to be it. I would say the improved dodge is really a quality of life sigil, and then the rest of them are just resistances. And so I think really the best defensive sigil is going to be Aegis. But one thing that I found as I've been playing the game is there are a lot of sigils within the game, but there aren't that many like good sigils. So like there's a lot of sigils, but a lot of them you're probably just going to throw away. And so for instance, this is my build with Granblue Goza. We see I have damage cap, Aegis, War Element, Stout Heart. And this is my build with Fairy. My build with Fairy is not done yet because I just started working on her, but we can see that pretty much all of it is the same, minus how I get to the damage cap, just because I don't have this weapon maxed out. But Stout Heart, War Elemental, damage cap, Aegis, plus a different way to get to the damage cap. And so there is a lot of leeway in terms of playing other characters as long as you build the right sigils, because I would say a lot of these sigils I can also move on to my Vayne, but I may have to tweak it a little bit to maximize his playstyle. The last sigil that I want to touch up on is going to be Linked Together. So I'm really testing this sigil to see how good it is, but I mean, the sigil max out is at trait level 30, and it's going to increase your link level that you gain when you do a link attack, which means that it's going to push you to link time quicker. It's going to increase the damage of your chain burst and your link attacks and your skybound arts, which in my opinion are the ways that we deal the most damage when we're playing this game. And as a Granblue Goza main, I get most of my damage in link time. So I think it's very important for me to get to link time as well as maximize it and take like the most advantage of it. And so this is a sigil that I think is going to be very slept on, and it's definitely going to be worth testing maxing out, because if you can get more link times and do more damage for these skills that scale so well, why would you not run it? But this is going to be something I wouldn't say is a must. It might be something I would say come back to once you have extra slots available and you're maybe looking to min-max things. But this is something that I'm running mainly because it has the auto revive on it, is why I'm running it so early. But this is something I can definitely see being viable in the future. I know this video has been a lot of me talking, but I didn't want to just tell you the best sigils. I want to explain why I think they're good, so that way you can customize it for your character specific build. I know there's sigils, like there has to be at least one that I missed, but if there is, I'm going to be sure to add it in the pinned comment, so check that out after this video. I'll have the video linked though for the damage cap guide, as well as the rest of my Granblue Fantasy Relink guides for you to check out. But thank you guys for your time, and I'll catch you in the next one.